I got a guest you might have heard of. He is mostly known for being one of the heroes of the Arrowverse. He's the right-hand man of one Oliver Queen, and he's here with us today. You know him as John Diggle. Make some noise for David Ramsey!
What's up, guys? What's up? How you feeling?
I am wonderful.
Oh, Steven. Has there been a Stephen Amell sighting? Has anyone seen him?
You guys should do you guys should come up with a system, right? If one of y'all cancels an event that y'all are both gonna be at, you gotta like buy the next guy dinner or something.
That's a good idea.
Right?
Yeah, he'll be buying me a lot of dinners, bro.
It's good for you, it's not good for
I
him.
heard he left like a Facebook message for the fans, which was nice.
He was very
Classy
remorseful.
guy. Classy guy.
Super classy guy. Your best friend, fair to say?
Oh yeah. No, Steven's great. There's arcades. This is great. I've never been to this con, so
Have you seen the arcades?
I'm not. So this is really nice.
Alright, when we're done, we're gonna go to the arcade area. There's like 1,000 of them.
Fantastic.
We are so happy you're here, right guys?
Guys, thanks for having me. I've been to San Ann a few times. First time with the con. On average, 3.8 pounds I gain every time I come in.
We're sorry. No, we're not.
No, you're not.
That's what happens to me when I go to New Orleans.
Yeah, well, San Ann. In New Orleans too, yeah.
Yeah.
But I eat, man. I eat here. I eat.
Yeah.
Portions are like,
You got
bro.
to. All right, listen. We love hearing. Where do you go?
Oh, where do I go? It's been the hotel.
No.
It's been the hotel. Is there a place? You got a place for me?
Everywhere. Listen, watch. Where my San Antonians at? What is your favorite places to eat? Say it again? Paloma Blanca?
Tell me the name again.
Paloma Blanca?
Can you write it down for me?
I will write a bunch down.
Paloma Blanca?
Rosadios?
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 What do they have? What are they?
Iguanas? There you go. Rosario's is world famous fish tacos.
Oh, I love the fish tacos, bro.
Yes, sir.
On the fish taco game.
Yeah, okay, we can talk about this all day, but let's get to some Arrow
Let's
stuff.
talk about eating. No, let's talk about eating.
Yeah, you talk about Arrow all the time. You want to talk about some food stuff. Listen, I'm super stoked you're here. I've talked about half your castmates before, and so I'm always excited to talk to you guys.
Is there anybody? Katie Lotz. Is she?
Katie's out here.
She's here. Me, her.
Brandon's out here.
Brandon, yeah, right. Brandon Roth is here.
Yeah, you got some Arrow folks here.
Brandon's great.
Isn't he the best?
Just, something. It's whatever you want to say about Superman Returns is that airplane scene.
Oh my God.
I will sometimes just go to YouTube just to like peep that scene because I think it's one of the best Superman flexes ever.
Absolutely.
Right?
And let's talk about. I'm gonna talk about.
I'm a comic book nerd, so you can ask me anything about comic books.
Well, I'm gonna keep it going on your. I'm gonna follow. Piggyback on you.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, just because you guys have, it shouldn't pass us that you guys accomplished so much. Not just Arrow, 170 episodes. Am I right?
That's right.
But like. All the feats, all the achievements, the challenges, the crossovers, like y'all brought Brandon back. Y'all gave him a suit back again. We got to see Brandon flex in that suit one more time, and I'm always gonna be grateful for seeing that again.
Thanks a lot, man. I mean, that was really great. It was brilliant. That the whole thing was just a great job. It was funny too because that role, I was doing another show. It was back in 2012, 2010, 11, 12. And called Blue Bloods, right? And
you got Blue Blood fans?
Got any Blue Bloods fans? And I got a call from Greg. My agent got a call from Greg. And he and his father watched Blue Bloods every Friday night. And I met Greg, and he was like, there's this role, John Diggle. He's a U.S. serviceman, and he doesn't have much to do in the pilot, but he becomes Green Arrow's guy. And I was a comic book fan, and it was like, Green Arrow?
At least he doesn't talk to fish.
But you gotta remember, like, first of all, Green Arrow lived in the shadow of Tom Wellington. So it lived in the shadow of Smallville, right?
Right, you're right.
And he wasn't Batman, Superman. It was like a, in your brains in 2012, Green Arrow was a subpar B character. Just in terms of like,
I got you.
And he's fighting crime with
bows and
arrows. So it wasn't a great pitch, but I was like, yeah, whatever. And here you go.
Here you go.
12 years later.
12 years, 170 episodes.
Yeah.
Comic books. You're in comic books now.
Yeah, thanks to you guys. Honestly, that was the fans. Like, the fans really identified with John Diggle, and so much that DC listened and put me in the lore.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you, I lost my train of thought when I brought up comic books.
Yeah.
How did you first get into acting? Was it something you saw? Was it a person specifically? Like, what sent you on that trajectory of getting into entertainment?
Yeah, I wanted to play football.
You're probably really good at it.
Yeah, I really love football. I wanted to play basketball. I didn't have the coordination to play basketball, but I love to hit people, and so I played football. And then I saw my father was a layman preacher, and my brother did a church play, and my brother is 6'7", hates basketball.
What?
This is a nightmare, I'm telling you. Because my son is 6'1" and he's 13, and he also hates basketball. It took me everything not to smother my child with a pillow. I swear. It was funny too, because we're from Detroit originally, I live in LA. And LeBron was coming to LA at this particular time. My son was small, I was sitting next to him on the couch. And it was a commercial, like talking about LeBron coming to LA, because it was big, right? And my son was like, he said, Dad, your favorite player is coming to, he's not my favorite player, but he said, Dad, your favorite player is coming to LA. And I said, oh yeah, you like LeBron? You're like, ah. And I was like, you like basketball? And he looked up at me and said, Dad, I hate basketball.
Oh man.
And I saw my brother all over again, all 6'7" inches of him, hating basketball. Anyway, so how to get into it? I saw my brother, who I admire very much. He's an artist, actually, like my son, a 6'7" artist. Anyway, so he was doing a church play, and I was like, I can do that. And it started off with that sort of naivete and admiration for my brother. And then I got into it and realized the art form was incredible and difficult and rewarding, and just stuck with it. And that was the end of my football career at 14.
Your 13-year-old, what is it that he's passionate about? Not to get off topic.
Yes, okay, no, that's not, my son's never off topic. My son loves swimming and rock climbing.
Yo.
Now, Jason Momoa, who's a good friend, I might drop his names, he's a rock climber as well, 6'5".
Yeah.
And I'm like, my son is 6'1", he's 13, he's gonna be 6'8", 6'7". Rock climbing. And an artist, he molds clay, my son, and swims and rock climbs. And I'm like, son, this isn't a scholarship. This doesn't spell scholarship, bro.
All rides, yeah.
Right? Just learn a hook shot.
And you're in.
And you're in. Like at 6'8", you're in. Like, you can be a scrub. You can just be on a bench. Anyway,
You talked about your brothers a little bit.
Yeah.
I looked everything up about you. You said that you used your relationship growing up with your brothers to kind of inspire your relationship with Oliver on the show. Yeah. Tell us more about that.
Well, John Diggle's kind of the best of us, right? I mean, he's
Yep.
He really is. I mean, you either want to be John Diggle or want a friend like John Diggle, and it was really my, when you grow up, both my brothers are older. You don't really appreciate it. It's kind of like, at some point you turn to your father and and say, you know,
you were right.
You're right, right? And so it was kind of the same way with my brothers, because I was one of the youngest. My sister became the youngest when I was 8 years old. That's another story. And so I was the baby for a long time, 2 older brothers and an older sister. And so I got my brothers in trouble, and they covered for me, and they bit their lip a lot when my father would come home. So it just kind of realizing what honor is and what patience was.
Sure.
And I saw that a lot in my brothers and my father.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
You guys agree?
Yeah. It was a good home, man. It was a good home.
We have a ton of audience questions. I better get to them. Let's see here. No name, but David, what was the most emotional scene in Arrow to film? Also, I think your best was season 6, episode 17. I looked it up, Brothers in Arms, where you and Oliver argue about how to save the city, and then threw down with one another.
Yeah, that was a difficult scene, and it wasn't difficult for the reasons you might think. Well, it's funny, you gotta really give a lot of credit to Steven. It was interesting too, because I think about Steven in the same way I think about Tom Selleck in a way, oddly enough, because they're both kind of the strong figureheads of the show.
Sure.
And I've seen them both stop production to get something right in the script.
I love that.
Right? And when you're in that moment, you just kind of freeze and go, right? Because that's what it's like being at work and any job, and the day stops because someone stopped. Just imagine that, right? So everyone's looking at their clock going, okay, what are we doing? But you realize where that comes from, and it comes from a deep love and passion to get it right. So that scene that you're talking about was originally written as a martial art fight between John Diggle and Oliver Queen, which John Diggle would never win on his best day, right? It's also having 2 brothers and really developing a kinship with Steven. We both understood that that's not how brothers fight, right?
Yeah.
They break things. They put each other in headlocks and swing each other around rooms, and then the mother, Felicity, comes and breaks it up, right? So that's what Steven and I kind of came up with, off really Steven's behest, right? He was like, David, this doesn't feel right, doesn't it? Like, it doesn't, I got brothers, and this isn't how you do it. So really, that was pretty much his brainchild of how would this happen? And so that was one of the times where we kind of stopped it and said, all right, what really happens here? And we came up with a moment where there were tears and things broke, and there was a real fight between brothers.
I love that. You elevated the scene.
Well, I think that happened, I'm giving a lot of credit to Steven, but I think that happened a lot with him around, and you appreciate that a lot of times when you're outside of the moment and you look back and go, he was right.
Yeah. One of the other favorite scenes that I have of you guys is during Crisis on Infinite Earths. Do you guys enjoy that crossover?
Yeah, thanks.
What an epic event. And I'm gonna boast about it for you guys a lot, but the scene where, spoiler, Oliver dies the first time, and you and the crew go to Purgatory, and you have to quickly get him to remember you, and y'all embrace.
Yeah.
And that was the first time Steven had actually really passed away, because he had passed once or twice before, but that was the real one. So I really enjoyed that emotional scene of you finally losing him for the first time, and trying to bring him back.
You know what's interesting just about the whole dynamic? You talk about these scenes, and really you talk about brotherhood and the chemistry that me and Steven had. I remember, and going back to another story about Greg, I remember talking to Greg about the lantern of it all, right? And having a conversation in his office. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't know if you guys want to write to that because, you know, there's a lot going on between Stephen and Emily's character. And this is exactly what he told me. He said, you know, that's great. We love writing toward that. He said, but believe it or not, what we see in our, and by the way, there's a statistic for everything, right? There's a stat for every sort of measurement that these guys do. He said the relationship between you and Stephen is kind of what we see happening on the show. He said similar to what happens between the guys with Supernatural. And I was like, really? Because you know you're on set and there's kind of so much that's happening between the oddlicity of it all, which is fantastic. But he was like, no, there's a lot we have to pay attention to between you and Stephen's relationship. And I'm like, that's great. So there's a reason why there was a lot of chemistry. They wrote to me.
Plus, the reason is David Ramsey and Stephen Amell.
There's that too.
We felt it. Y'all felt it, right? Madison Lopez wants to know if you could switch roles with any of the Arrow cast members, who would it be and why? She says, thank you.
That's a great question. It would be Manu Bennett, though
Manu!
Yeah, it would be. Deathstroke. First of all, I think season 2 was our best season. And probably...
Was Matt Nable in that one too, season 2?
He may have been. Prometheus was good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great villain. But the Deathstroke stuff, oof.
That was amazing.
It was really, really good. I couldn't do it better than Manu, but I would try. Manu Bennett would probably be the character I'd go after.
I'm gonna go back to Crisis for a little bit.
Yeah.
If you had told me one day that there would be a 5-part crossover series that involved the destruction of the multiverse and canonized multiple DC Comics movies and TV shows, I would have said, not a shot. That is like an insurmountable feat. Nobody would be able to pull it off, but y'all did. Y'all did that. It canonized all of DC. You had references to Batman '89. The Birds of Prey girls were in there. I mean, it was fantastic.
You're doing your homework.
We watch that constantly. That is such an epic thing. We should never forget about it. But what are your fondest memories of like being a part of that entire event?
Again, it all becomes different in retrospect, right? Because when you're doing it, you're like, oh, all those things you mentioned are the things you're trying to accomplish. When you're reading that script, it's like, really? Oh wow, really? Really? You're doing that too? And you go, oh wow! But then you also go, can you do it? Can you do it on the budget? Can you make it, I mean, we can act it, but can you make it hot and good and real? And so, and also it's the schedules. Just trying to get Melissa there, and Grant, Katie, Steven, and everyone together. It was, and then later on with the later crossovers with Cress and from Black Lightning and other folks. So it was a big endeavor. Okay, but in retrospect, I think we did it probably better than any other DC franchise.
Oh, of course. I think they agree.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is being recorded, so it's like, look, but here's
we agree with you.
But here's the thing, we did, but I really want to see it done well in the big extended universe. You know what I mean? Like I'm a fan of the genre.
Yeah.
So anytime there's good comic book stories told, is good for all comic book stories told, right? Whether it's Marvel, DC, or anyone else, right? Whether if it's good for everybody.
Y'all agree?
Right? So I want to see good stories told. So I think, you know, I mean, look, I think we're still trying to get Flashpoint right. Right? I mean, I want to see that. I want to see that live action of Flashpoint that moved me the same way.
Granted.
Or the animated one. I remember when the Flashpoint animated one, and we were just like,
yeah.
Remember that? And it was just, you know. So anytime good stories are told, it doesn't matter who it comes from.
Burt Ward was also on that show. Y'all brought Burt back.
We did. We brought a lot of people back.
OG.
That's Mark Guggenheim. He was the architect of a lot of that, just kind of digging in the vault.
I was always hesitant to kind of bring these questions up because I know you've talked a lot about them over the last year and a half or so. So if you don't want to answer, just tell me. What were the reasons beyond those given on the show that you decided not to become Green Lantern?
Oh yeah, because that was really my decision. Green Lantern.
I'm just gonna say, I'm not even lying. When you found that box and you opened it and your face is all aglow with that green hue, my son's sitting over there and he'll tell you, I think I screamed. I was like, what? It was one of the best moments ever of part of any Arrowverse show. And I just thought, wow, they really went for it. They took a shot. That is bold, that is massive, and we slowly were getting kind of teased after that. A little bit here, a little bit there, and we really wanted it. I know you were disappointed that it kind of never came to fruition, but I think I speak for all of us when we say we all really, really wanted it to happen.
Yeah, did you guys want that to happen? A little louder for everyone back in the room. Yeah?
You would have murdered.
Man, I would have rocked that. I would have.
My God.
Well, we only teased it for 6 seasons. There was every intention. There was every intention. But obviously there were things that happened and took place, but I would have loved to have dug into the John Diggle steward of it all, guardian of Sector, you know what. I mean, look, we had, there were some plans, there were some real plans, but
it was close.
Look, Birds of Prey was a spinoff, Lantern was a spinoff, there were some things that were going to happen. I know that Lantern is still happening with Mr. Gunn.
Right.
And I'm really, really excited for that.
So if James calls you and says, Dave, we got a spot for you. Are you jumping on?
I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, no.
Give David the ring.
I would love to do. My sense is that they're going to do whatever they're going to do. But, yeah, man, what a, and by the way, everyone wants that character.
Yeah.
Everyone wants John Stewart. And Hal Jordan, right? So it's just two of the most iconic characters. And I think now, don't quote me, but the idea of how to execute this on television has gone through the gambit.
Sure. And
I think now, within that universe, it's both Hal and John now that they're going to
focus on.
I think before it was just John, and before it became not either one of them, and I think now it's both. So I can't wait.
James Gunn, give him a call.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap up in a few minutes here, but I need to ask you a few things. Legend of the White Dragon. Anything you want to talk about?
Yes, Legend of the White Dragon. The great,
he knows,
late Jason David.
Jason, JDF.
Yep.
He's one of the best people on the planet. I was lucky enough to talk to him about Legend of the White Dragon back in 2020. We finally have an official release. It's coming out later. What can you tell us about the film, and more importantly, what was it like to work with the legendary JDF?
I met Jason at a con in 2014. The type of guy Jason was. I'd never seen him. Well, I've seen him, but I never met him. And he came right up to me and said, "Martial artist." And I said, "Yeah." And we started talking about some of the folks we knew together as martial artists. And that conversation turned into what it was like to try to find your identity in an iconic character. And that was something that was a quest of his, to both embrace and shed the mythos of the Green Power Ranger. And the first day I met him, you know, we talked about our kids, and he said, I want to send your son some stuff. 2 weeks later, it's like a gift basket of stuff for my, at the time, 5-year-old son.
That's who he was.
Just heart. He called me some years later, said, I have a script. I didn't read it, said, whatever you want. Whatever you want, doesn't matter. And it ended up, the script was very good. We started shooting, and it was a lot of fun. Weren't quite done before we got the news. And last year, we did some reshoots, and we did some more as early as 2 months ago. This is June now. We did March, April. We did some more reshoots. So what can I tell you about it?
Without spoiling anything, of course.
Yeah, I can tell you that Jason shines in it a lot. His spirit is all over it. It's his film. It's we lost a light, but there's light and goodness and peace and love all over that film because it's his.
Love that, right, guys?
Yeah. You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yep, he was one of the best.
He was.
I did an interview with him, and like you said, kind of goes out of his way. He ended up giving me a voicemail later that evening. Jason Diggle gave me a voicemail, and he just said, really enjoyed it, loved it, was great talking to you. He wanted a copy of the video, and I still have that call saved to this day just because, like, I don't know.
It's interesting too because you hear that about people that pass away, and it's like, well, what are you going to say? Of course you're going to say good things, and he did this, he did that. It's not hyperbole. Like Jason was one of these guys. It's the truth. Like you would get a call and just like, hey man, just thinking about you, just praying for you and your family. I'm just out of the blue. Like that was really truly him. So yeah, there was a lot of light around him. A lot of light.
Felt like he had a way of making you feel like, this is just for me personally, making you feel like he knew you all your life.
Yeah, for sure. Like he was a friend.
I want to do a speed round with you. You going to the speed round?
Let's go.
All right. If you were to text Steven and Emily right now to call you, who's calling you first?
Ooh. I mean, you gotta say Steven, right? Steven.
Who's the most likely to laugh during a dramatic scene?
Steven.
Over or under, Steven can do 100 push-ups without stopping.
Could he, you're asking?
Would he do more or less than 100?
Oh, Steven?
Yeah.
Now? Well, he'll do over. I mean, I got to stay with my boy. He'll do over.
Over, all right. Who's the hardest person to make laugh from the cast?
Katie Cassidy.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, she was tough, man. She was, I mean, we did everything to crack her. No. Now, me and Steven, every tape you saw that was good for me and Steven, that was probably the only one. Because we would just crack up, like, constantly, man. We were always. Let me tell you a story about how I got Steven? All
Always?
right, here it goes. You ready? Any kids on here?
No kids.
All right, is it okay? You okay, Dad? All right, here it goes, all right? Now, up until this time, I've done Dexter and Blue Bloods and some other stuff, and Steven was like, okay, it's a dramatic actor, so, up until this moment, we didn't really have like, ha moments, right? It was like, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Welcome to the show. You ready? Let's get this, let's go. So, you can actually go back to this episode, you will see it. And some of these folks, they may know this story. Okay. So, all right, so here's the story. We're in the Queen Mansion, and I'm playing the driver. I'm the Queen's driver. So in the scene, everyone's at the round table. Malcolm Merlin's there, and Arrow's there, or Oliver Queen, and Mora, his mother's there, and Thea's there. Steven's here at the head of the table, and he's talking to his family. I'm back here, driver, standing there, bodyguard. Anyway, so everyone's talking, and in the scene, I come up to Steven's ear and I say, Mr. Queen, it's time to go, right? Walk out the room. He's like, oh, okay. So that's what happened on everybody's coverage, right? That me and Steven get to go, and camera's pointing that way, camera's pointing that way. So now the camera turns around. It's on Steven now, me and Steven. So now it's here, and Steven's talking to everyone, and then the scene goes, Mr. Queen is ready to go. Okay. So you don't quite hear what I'm saying, you just know that's what I'm saying, and because the camera has to come up here. So when the camera gets right here on Steven, I say, Mr. Queen, I have the biggest balls you've ever seen before in your life. Steven's face goes. And he gets up and walks out the room.
Yeah.
From that moment on, it was laughter. Every single take was laughter, man. Like, we would break every time. And everyone who came to the set, they would like get frustrated because, like, we're gonna laugh. We're just gonna crack up. Like, we've actually had people come on the set and say, guys, can you please, like, I'm trying to do a scene. And
I'm
like,
trying to be professional,
right,
guys.
exactly. Like, okay.
Oh my God. Round of applause for that. That was amazing. David, we're out of time, sir, and I know you got a million fans here to go take photos with, so I just want to say what you've accomplished and what you were part of, again, is no small feat. We will forever cherish these characters and stories you've cultivated, and they will stand the test of time. Congrats on all your success. We really cannot wait to see what's next for you, man.
Thanks, brother. Really.
Is that a joke?